determined to do something. I was demanding more answers, and I was demanding them louder, and demanding them to be taken seriously. And voices around me were being raised and finally being heard. And for the first time since October 2nd, I was beginning to make sense of the senselessness that came from the attack that happened to me. I was finding my voice and finding my purpose. Myself and Burke, who you saw in the video, who himself is a hate crime survivor, we founded SOS Survivors Offering Support as an idea and as a cause to really help other people make sense of their own tragedy, to kind of guide them through the pain and the struggling that they were experiencing. And it was created to begin a larger conversation about hate and acceptance that we all face on a daily basis, about love and human respect. Over the last few years, the word equality seems to have permeated the media. We've celebrated a lot of victories in LGBTQ rights. We've seen marriage equality become a reality. Many states and cities have begun adopting measures to protect the rights of trans individuals. Unfortunately, we've also been faced with the very stark reality of some defeats. The conversation has become more and more heated, and the anger has begun to bubble over to the surface. And by the time in the last few months that presidential nominees were announced, it seems our country was very much and very obviously split into two entities. I'm eternally grateful for organizations like Equality Texas, who have championed for those who can't champion for themselves. The work that they do to heal the wounds left on people in our community by discrimination and hatred and violence is invaluable. The impact and inspiration that is a result of their tireless work in attempting to prevent and right the wrongs that bigoted legislation would attempt to inflict can never adequately be measured. Thank you to everybody who had a hand in crafting this PSA. Thank you guys for inviting me to share briefly, although at this point I don't know how briefly it's been, my own experience and my journey. Thank you to Chief Acevedo for championing, as long as I've been a citizen of Austin, an environment that refuses to accept discrimination in this city. Thank you for also seeing the need for a greater conversation on how you and your department can not only prevent, but also aid the survivors of these crimes in moving on with their lives, to flourish rather than succumb to the events that have happened to them. My community that is watching and is here supporting, thank you for saying no to hate. Thank you for saying no to discrimination. Thank you for expecting and demanding more of us. I want to challenge you guys today. Each of us holds within us the power to end the cycle of violence that our community has endured for decades. We do this by continuing this conversation openly and honestly, not only with our advocates and allies, but with ourselves. Oftentimes in our quest for quality, we forget what exactly equality entails. Our struggles are not the only ones being endured, our stories are not the only ones being told, and our voices are not the only ones being silenced. Monica Loera is a trans woman from Austin who was murdered on January 22nd of 2016. Shade Schuler was another trans woman of color from Dallas, Texas, whose body was found July 29th of 2015 in an open field. Ty Underwood is a trans woman of color from Tyler, Texas, was murdered on January 26, 2015. Women whose lives were cut short in brutal, senseless crimes of hate, bigotry, fear, and inequality. Violence from outside our community continues to affect our minorities and trans brothers and sisters, and until we speak openly and honestly about this epidemic, we don't want equality, we want privilege. If you don't think that outside community are capable of the same violence, or are capable of violence, we are also capable of that. Shantae Thompson was a trans woman of color who, along with her male friend, was brutally attacked and gunned down by a mob of 8 people just 2 days ago in the Montrose neighborhood of Houston, Texas. Witnesses say that many of their assailants were fellow trans women and gay men. This community was built on the backs of our trans brothers and sisters of color. We cannot continue to deny that the community that they fought so fearlessly for is fractured. We have the power to heal us. In order to achieve equality and respect from our allies and advocates outside of our community, we have got to demand it for ourselves first. I want to live in a world where I don't have to be fearful for myself or anyone that I care about. I want to live in a world where tears and blood no longer flow in our streets. And I want to live in a world where we stop seeing color, gender, and sexual orientation before we see a person. The world is possible, and the first step to achieving that has begun today with the conversation that we're having. Thank you so much for being a part of the solution. We appreciate your support. And I now would like to introduce Chief Acevedo.
First of all, I want to just say thank you to everybody for being here today. We know that this week is National Crime Victims' Rights Week. And today, we're not just focusing on one group, but all victims. In the case of the LGBTQ community, we know that there's stigma sometimes attached in society and special hate for that community. And so today, we honor all victims, the rights of all victims, but we really want to talk a little bit about what we're doing here in Austin that does make us special. We're a community that absolutely will always stand up with our diverse segments of society, regardless of a person's sexual orientation, their gender identification, their religion, their color, their socioeconomic standing. We stand united as a police department with all communities to let you know that we are here for you. We care about you, and we love you. I want to thank Chuck Smith and Equality Texas for being such a great partner, such a great advocate for communities that are targeted too often just based on who we love or who they love, who they love, who they are, and nothing else. We're standing not just with the LGBTQ community, but with all communities. Equality Texas is about people caring about one another, and I want to tell you, thank you, Chuck, for your leadership and for being our partner on the Austin-Travis County Hate Crimes Task Force from day one. Mr. Dominguez, you know, you started off as a victim, but you're tough as nails, my friend. Looking at those wounds, your will to survive, but more importantly, your will to become a survivor and your courage to take your story and to share it with others, I think is going to serve our diverse community, not just here in Austin and in Dallas, but in the entire state and hopefully the nation very well. I think you're the epitome of a person that takes victimization and turns it into a strength, and because of your courage, you are a survivor, and you're going to help us create more survivors. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Charles Lusa, where you at, Charles, of our community liaison program, and he's specifically assigned to the LGBTQ community. Chief Robledo for being up here, Gloria for always being here, and Kachina Clark, who is the leader of our Victims Services Unit that, again, works so diligently to create survivors. We're remembering victims this week. We're standing with victims this week, but we're also standing with them, reminding them that they have rights and that this department will be an advocate always for victims. The Austin Police Department is the first department in the state of Texas to have a transgender officer. I had such a sense of pride when we went to the HRC gala this year, and someone that I knew once as Emily shared his story of being true to himself, and his story on about Gregory Abink when he got a Humanitarian and Courage Award. And because of the culture of this department, where we stand united as a family, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of color, regardless of religion, regardless of race, regardless of our own individual backgrounds and stories, we stand united as a family, where we as a police department tell our people that this is a safe place for everyone. As evidenced by the leadership that you're going to see here in a minute with Mike Crumrine, who started the Austin Police Department Lay LGPOA, which is the Lesbian Gay Police Officer Association. When you have a minute, go look at a video that they put together that speaks to It Gets Better. It Gets Better Austin. that video and the courage that you guys put together has saved lives, because what that video spoke to is that everyone belongs here on this planet Earth, and that everyone should be able to live in peace. So Mike is going to talk a little bit about what Gregory Abink has done in terms of helping us develop policies so we can create an environment of respect for all communities, including the LGBTQIA and Q community. Helped us develop policies, search policies in terms of how we search folks that are in the transgender community, how we respect them and their lives. And he's also going to talk about the LGBTQIA and the fact that there is a challenge in the LGBTQ community. That challenge is that there are those that will victimize someone because they think or they believe that the crime will not go reported because somebody may not be out, and somebody may feel like they won't be believed, and somebody may believe that we wouldn't care. And I'm here to tell you what he's going to talk about is that challenge of too many crimes that go unreported because of imagined or real stigma. But I want to just say this before I call Mike up, that we are here for you. We don't care who you love, who you choose to love. We don't care about your religion. We don't care about your color. We don't care about your race. And we stand with our community. So with that, I'd like to have Mike Crumrine come up and talk about our next iteration of training to be a department that respects diversity and a department that serves all segments of our community. Mike, come on up.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Michael Crumrine. I'm the current president of the Lesbian Gay Peace Officers Association of Austin. A minor correction, I was one of the founding members, but I wasn't the founding member. We had several of our officers that were part of going ahead and forming the organization. The organization was formed in 2009 because we saw a need in our community to be better at service protection and education. Our organization is the first and only Lesbian Gay Peace Officers Association in the state of Texas. We formed because we understood that there was a need for us as law enforcement officers to be better at reaching out to the community and building those bridges with the community that for so many years did not exist between law enforcement and the LGBTQ community. Thanks to Chief Art Acevedo, Chief Robledo, and the Austin Police Department, we've been successful in the many firsts that we've done. The first thing that we did was when we put out the It Gets Better video, we were one of the first departments in the country to go ahead and do that. What we're going to be rolling out next month is that we're going to be training our cadets specifically on what are some of the challenges, barriers, and obstacles that the LGBTQ community has in reporting intimate partner violence, and how we can be better at that. How we can go ahead and help overcome those barriers, help overcome some of those challenges, and to be understanding of why a victim would be reluctant to report, and to help build that trust back with the community that the Austin Police Department as a whole has always gone ahead and maintained with their diverse community. So that is the first time that I'm aware of, that we're aware of, that any major police department will be specifically doing training in regards to intimate partner violence. Mr. Dominguez had talked about some of the different successes, and so did Chuck did, with marriage equality that came out from the Supreme Court. It stands to reason that when you have a community that has been disenfranchised by most institutional organizations, and those barriers have been broken through the SCOTUS decision, that they're going to feel empowered to come forward and finally be able to report when they become victimized. And what we want to do is do our part in reaching those individuals and letting them know that it's okay, that we believe what they're reporting, and that we will do a complete and total and unbiased investigation and hold perpetrators accountable and give some justice to part of the LGBTQ community. So that's some of the things that we've done with LGBTQIA, and that's the new training that we'll be rolling out next month in regards to that. Was there something?
Thank you. Excellent. Thanks, Mike.